my pregnant sister-in-law went clubbing and had such an over-excited interaction with the male model that she suffered a miscarriage. She dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face as she pleaded with me. Please, please don't tell your brother, and whatever you do, don't tell our mother. She'd skin me alive if she knew. Please, I'm begging you. I gave my word, then rushed her to the hospital. I asked for leave from school and dedicated myself to taking care of her. However, upon returning home, I was met with a brutal blow from my brother. My mother tied me up, and together they beat me mercilessly. On the brink of death, I saw my sister-in-law pointing at me with swollen tear-filled eyes, shouting she pushed me. She's the reason I lost my baby. Beat her to death and avenge my child. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day my sister-in-law was about to go clubbing. In this new life, I stood by with my hands in my pockets, watching them turn on each other. We had someone check, and it turned out to be a boy. Boys are great. They're the ones who carry on the family line. In the living room, my mother was chatting merrily with relatives on a video call, beaming with pride, as she received a flood of compliments about her good fortune. She gave me a kick while I was spacing out and ordered, "Take the bird's nest I steamed for your sister-in-law to her." I rubbed my arm, and suddenly realized I had been reborn. As I walked into the kitchen, and saw the steaming bird's nest on the steamer, I was momentarily lost in a daze. In my past life, I obediently took the bird's nest to my sister-in-law. She was so excited about going clubbing in the bar, that she knocked it over, scalding my hand, and causing a mass of blisters. She didn't get to drink it, and instead lashed out at me, saying, "You did that on purpose, didn't you? You deliberately didn't want me to have it, and were hoping something bad would happen to my baby." With that in mind, I poured most of the bird's nest into another bowl, filled the remaining part with raw water, and then took it to her. My sister-in-law was sitting in front of the dressing table, legs crossed, applying makeup, while happily saying, "Great. I'll order a few more. See you tonight, haha." When she heard my footsteps, she quickly ended the video call. Turning around and seeing it was me, she rolled her eyes and said, "Are you a ghost? You walk without making a sound." I smiled and said, "I'm bringing you the bird's nest. I'd like some too." My sister-in-law snatched it eagerly and smacked her lips triumphantly at me after drinking it. As I was about to leave, she called out to me, "Wanna go out with me? I'll take you, a total newbie, to experience the world." This scene was all too familiar. In my previous life, she forced me to go to the bar with her, claiming I'd deliberately spilled the bird's nest. Her overly excited interaction with the male model led to a miscarriage. She knelt down sobbing and begging me to cover it up. I helped her, and even took time off from school on the eve of the college entrance examination to take care of her. But she shifted the blame for the miscarriage onto me. In the end, I died at the hands of my brother and mother's beatings. The excruciating pain and numbness from blood loss are etched in my memory. Snapping back to reality, I immediately replied, "Sure, let's go experience the world. Why don't we invite mom and brother? It'll be a great family gathering." My sister-in-law shot me a look of disgust and said, "Scram. You're so dull. You have no idea how to enjoy life." I went back to the kitchen and drank the bird's nest I had poured out. In this life, I won't offer any help to my sister-in-law. I wondered what kind of explosive scene it would be if my mother found out that her beloved grandson was lost because of my sister-in-law's clubbing, and if my brother learned that his pregnant wife was dancing with a male model. I relished the thought of driving a wedge between them and watching them fight among themselves. After that, I went back to my room to study. My mother hung up the video call and came into my room looking mysterious. "What did your sister-in-law say just now?" she asked. I was taken aback. "Say what?" I replied. My mother clicked her tongue. "I bought that bird's nest especially for her. This is the first time, and she didn't say anything." My mother and sister-in-law didn't like each other, but they maintained a false sense of harmony. In the past, I was caught in the middle and endured a lot of pinching and twisting from both of them. Now I could only wish they would fight each other. I knew my mother wanted to hear that my sister-in-law had thanked her. After thinking for a moment, I replied seriously, "Mom, she didn't say anything. She didn't even say thank you or hello. My mother looked displeased. "That woman has no gratitude at all. I used my retirement money to buy her bird's nest, and she doesn't even show a bit of appreciation. I only did it because I care about your brother and the little nephew in her belly. Otherwise I wouldn't have bothered," she added. I retorted, "Mom, then why don't you let me drink it? I'm your own daughter." My mother was stunned. "You? Drink it? You're not even pregnant." She stared at me suspiciously. "Or are you pregnant? Have you been fooling around?" Without hesitation, she slapped my arm. I was just expressing my desire to drink it. My mother then forced a smile and said, "I'm doing this for your own good. Study hard and get into a good university in the future. Marry into a family with power or wealth. Don't mess around, or else who's going to reimburse me for all the money I've spent raising you?" she continued. I nodded. I knew my mother wasn't concerned about me. She was only worried that I wouldn't be able to marry into a wealthy family and pay her back. Just then my sister-in-law's laughter came from the room. "What's making your sister-in-law so happy?" my mother asked. "You went in there just now. What was she up to?" "She said she wanted to go out," I replied. My mother snorted. She's probably going to buy bags or clothes for her mother again. Sounds like she's going with friends. Well, let her go. Little did she know that her beloved grandson would be gone after that. In the afternoon while I was doing my homework, my sister-in-law came over and asked where the bird's nest was. She couldn't find it in the kitchen. I knew it was my mother who had hidden it, afraid that I would secretly drink it. Didn't you already have some? Do you still want more? I asked. Pretending to be innocent, the first said, I guess Mom hid it on purpose, worried that you'd drink it secretly. My sister-in-law jabbed her finger at me. I tried to dodge, but still got hit. She's probably worried about you drinking it, she said. Even so, I could tell she was resentful towards my mother. It's just a bird's nest. What's the big deal? She added. After my sister-in-law left, my mother soon came in with a box of bird's nest. Go steam this and take it to your sister-in-law when it's ready, she ordered. I exclaimed, just now sister-in-law came to ask me. She said you hid the bird's nest from her, and even said some things about you. I quickly shut up. My mother frowned. What did she say about me? Keep talking. I pretended to be hesitant and mumbled. She called you an old hag who's good at hiding things like a dead rat. My mother was so angry that her nostrils flared. She's the dead rat. That Lin Han knows to ask your brother to talk to me. Your brother said she wanted to drink it, and told me to take it out quickly. If she wanted it, she could have just told me directly. Why did she have to report to your brother? It makes me so angry, she said. I pretended to be on her side and said, right. Let's not steam it then. My mother glared at me. We have to. There's a baby in her belly. I can't let the baby suffer just because I'm mad at her. I'll deal with her after she gives birth. I steamed the bird's nest again, added raw water as I did before, and took it to my sister-in-law. She held it, but didn't drink, asking me to take a photo of her. After taking the photo, she didn't let me leave. After she finished drinking, she left a sip for me. Here, drink it. Hurry up. Don't just stand there. We don't want Mom to see. You should be grateful, just for getting a sip of this precious thing, she said. I couldn't figure out what she was up to. I saw that the camera on her phone was on. I cooperated, lifting the bowl to my mouth, but not actually drinking. She was too busy taking pictures to notice whether I drank or not. Sure enough, I saw the picture and caption she posted on Moments. My sister-in-law snatched the leftover bird's nest from me. She not only showed off that she had bird's nest to eat, but also made fun of me. She even implied something negative about my mother. My mother came into my room and started scolding me harshly. Who told you to drink it? You're so embarrassing. Now your uncle and aunt know that my well-educated daughter is drinking the leftover bird's nest from her sister-in-law. Since you like it so much, from now on, you can drink all the leftovers in the house. I felt wronged and said, Mom, it was sister-in-law who said that the bird's nest you bought wasn't authentic. She asked me to taste it to see if it had a strange taste. My mother was so angry that her chest heaved. She actually disliked the authenticity of what I bought. I won't buy any more after this box. Raising a daughter-in-law is really like raising an ungrateful wretch. I echoed. That's right. Mom, look at how hard you work at home taking care of her. But she's never bought you a single piece of clothing. She's bought plenty for her own mother, though. My mother looked at me with an expression, as if she had finally found a kindred spirit. You've noticed that too, huh? I told your brother, and he said it was normal. He's really forgotten his mother since he got married. I continued to egg her on. Mom, look, Aunt Xingxing said she's going on a trip. Why don't you go too? Your sister-in-law is still in the early stages of pregnancy. Just 3 months. You can take this opportunity to go on a trip, and let her know that she can't manage without you at home. Then she won't secretly hold grudges against you anymore. My mother slapped her thigh and said, Okay, I'll contact her right away. Aunt Xingxing had everything arranged. She came to pick up my mother, and they went on a self-driving tour around the area before leaving. When my sister-in-law heard the news, she was quite happy. With no one to control her, she could have a wild night out. She smiled at my mother and said, Mom, have a great time. Don't be stingy with money. If you run out of money, just ask me. I'll give it to you. My mother gritted her teeth and agreed. Aunt Xingxing, standing by, said with a smile, This daughter-in-law is really nice. After my mother left, as soon as I returned to my room, I saw a message on my phone. Look at how your sister-in-law talks. She has no filter. Saying I'm stingy is just another way of calling me cheap in front of your aunt, and she said she'd give me money if I ran out. What a joke. She won't give me a single cent. I replied indifferently, Yeah. My sister-in-law made another veiled dig on WeChat Moments. My mother-in-law is going on a trip. So jealous. Someone commented, You're pregnant, and your mother-in-law is going on a trip instead of taking care of you. How disgusting is that? My sister-in-law replied, Well, Mom is going to nag me about this when she sees this. In the past, I tried to please both of them, but in the end, I was beaten to death. Soon I'll get to see them turn on each other. When my brother came home from work and saw that no one had cooked, and learned that our mother had gone on a trip, he didn't care. He ordered takeout, and after eating, he plunged into playing online games on the computer. Since our mother wasn't at home, my sister-in-law, with smoky makeup on, told my brother that she wanted to go out for a drive. My brother didn't pay much attention and said, If you want to go, then go. The smile on my sister-in-law's face never faded after flirting with my brother for a while. She took the car keys and left while my brother was in the bathroom. I turned off the power switch. When my brother came back and found the power off, he was so angry that he pounded the table. He called his friends and arranged to go to an esports room to play games. My sister-in-law usually kept a tight rein on him, so he hadn't played with his buddies in a long time. When he invited them, his friends were quite surprised. Going to the esports room is fine, but you can't back out. You have to stay up all night and sleep until checkout time. Then we'll have lunch together before you go home. How about that? My brother was a bit hesitant. You're such a hen-pecked husband. I don't have a brother like you. Don't invite me to play in the future. Under the pressure of his friends, my brother gave in. Anyway, there's a power outage here, and it's hot at home. Let's meet at the usual place. Looking at the empty house with only myself in it, I couldn't hide my excitement. I turned off my phone and immersed myself in studying again. After finishing a set of test papers, I glanced at the time. I guessed that my sister-in-law was probably drinking beer and waving glow sticks, having a great time. Before long, two male models would approach. My sister-in-law would stand in the middle, her hands held up straight by the man behind her. The man in front would touch her face, tease her, and speak in a deep voice close to her ear, saying exciting things. They would be standing very close. Their clothes would rub against each other, and they would be breathing in each other's air. At this moment, my sister-in-law would scream and jump excitedly. Suddenly, she would feel a sharp pain in her abdomen, and bright red blood would flow down her legs. She would call my brother, who would be completely engrossed in the game at the internet cafe. She would call me, but my phone would be off. She would try to call my mother, but my mother would be away. Just thinking about this made me want to laugh even while doing my homework. I laughed unrestrainedly. No one was there to discipline or beat me. Laughed for over 10 minutes until my throat was almost hoarse before calming down and focusing on my studies. After finishing my homework, I took a bath and went to bed. The next morning, I was woken up by a knock on the door. My sister-in-law called the neighbor and asked me to go to the hospital immediately. I agreed, then went back to bed and slept until after 10 o'clock before going. When I arrived, I was shocked. In the hospital room, neither my mother nor my brother was there. Only my sister-in-law, with smudged makeup in several places and pale lips, was lying on the bed sobbing. Yuan, you're finally here. Whoa. My baby is gone. Please help me, sister-in-law. Don't tell your brother and mother that I had a miscarriage because I went out to play. Whoa, they'll find out sooner or later. Just don't say it was because of my going out, okay? Please, Yuan. My baby. Please don't tell your brother, he'll kill me, and don't tell our mother, she'll skin me alive. Whoa, I'm begging you. Just say the baby had a spontaneous preterm labor, okay? Please. I looked at her coldly, my heart as cold as ice. In my previous life, she had deceived me like this. I helped her cover it up and took good care of her in the hospital, but she turned around and said I had pushed her. Even though I was planning to set her up, it was hard for me to nod and agree. A hint of viciousness flashed in her eyes. She slowly moved her body, got out of bed, and knelt down in front of me. Yuan, please help your sister-in-law. I am kneeling down for you. I didn't say a word. She kept shouting, I won't get up until you agree. Eventually, she stood up awkwardly and lay back on the bed. Think it over slowly, sister-in-law is waiting for you. It wasn't until the afternoon that my mother and brother rushed in. As soon as they entered, my sister-in-law burst into tears like an actress. Honey, you're finally here. Whoa, our baby is gone. It was all Yuan. She pushed me and caused the miscarriage. Beat her to avenge our baby. My brother hugged my sister-in-law, his eyes red. My mother grabbed the back of my collar and slapped me several times in a row. Gritting her teeth, she said, you're really tired of living. How dare you push your sister-in-law? The baby is gone, and you should die too. I suddenly turned around and stomped hard on my mother's foot. She let go of me in pain. I immediately ran out shouting, help. They're beating me. They're going to kill me. A nurse sister stood in front of me to protect me. The nurse sister said, what are you doing? This is a hospital. Stop hitting people. If you continue, I'll call the police. My mother roared, who are you? Who are you yelling at? Do you know how to respect the elderly and care for the young? I can hit whoever I want. What's it to you? If you meddle further, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your mother. The doctor who rushed over said sternly, please be careful with your words and actions. Family member, don't direct your anger at others. And don't insult people casually. My mother sneered and pointed at the nurse protecting me. What's your relationship with this woman? Why are you protecting her? You're old enough to be her father. Don't tell me you two are having an affair. That's hilarious. The doctor was so angry that he immediately asked someone to call security. My mother put her hands on her hips and called my brother. Hongsheng, look at how they're bullying me. They're even calling security. They're really stepping on us. My brother let go of my sister-in-law and stood in front of my mother. Aren't you ashamed of bullying an old woman? My mother looked proud as my brother protected her. That's right, you bullying us. You caused my daughter-in-law to have a miscarriage. The baby didn't survive. What kind of top-tier hospital are you? I'll sue you. As she spoke, she was about to start fighting again. The security guards came with stun guns and my mother and brother finally calmed down. The doctor took them to the office to talk. My sister-in-law was resting in the ward. You come here too. My mother ordered. My sister-in-law gave me a disdainful smile and stuck out her tongue triumphantly. I wondered what she was so proud of. She was about to face big trouble. Her plan had backfired. Because she was so eager to shift the blame onto me. She had completely forgotten that this was a hospital, and there were many unexpected factors. In the office, my mother and brother exchanged a look. If they put the blame on me, I couldn't pay. So my mother and brother took turns blaming the hospital. You must compensate us, Yuan, or this isn't over. This is clearly a medical malpractice. The doctor simply said. The ambulance brought her from Geo Road yesterday. My mother was taken aback. What's wrong with Geo Road? Even if it came from the sky, it's still your medical malpractice. My brother opened his mouth wide, but said nothing. My mother didn't know what Geo Road meant. But my brother did. My brother used to be a regular at nightclubs. He met my sister-in-law at a bar. They had a drinking spree and had a wild night. And then they got together. The doctor continued. She reeked of alcohol. Her breath also smelled of it. The friend who brought her here said she had drunk almost a whole bottle of beer. And she was dancing too wildly with a man, which led to this be the time she was brought to the hospital. It was too late to save the baby. My mother was stunned. Impossible, absolutely impossible. My daughter-in-law isn't that kind of person. My mother pushed my brother. My brother lowered his head, hiding it so low that he almost buried it. The words dancing with a man stabbed my brother's heart deeply, as if a large patch of green grassland had appeared on his head. My brother had never dared to tell my mother how he met my sister-in-law. He just said they met at work, and that's why my mother agreed to their relationship. Is Lin Han really that kind of woman? Is she really that cheap? My brother finally roared. Mom, the baby is gone. What's the point of Jeju this? Of course, there's a point. If I had known she was such a woman of loose morals, I would never have let you two be together. My mother glanced at me. Come here, you tell me. I trembled and said, I don't know what sister-in-law did when she left. Brother was at home. She asked brother for the car keys, and then went out. Brother also went out to meet his friends later. I was studying at home. That's all I know. Please don't ask anymore. My mother stood up abruptly and rushed towards the ward. My brother followed closely behind. I thanked the doctor. The doctor said, Little girl, study hard. Leave this family in the future. Such family members are not worth keeping. I thanked him. From the ward came my sister-in-law's pitiful cries for help. Mom. It's not true. I didn't go to the bear. It was Tang Yuanyuan who pushed me and caused the miscarriage. It wasn't me. Stop hitting me. I'm going to die. Tang Hongsheng, are you still a man? Are you just going to watch your woman being beaten to death? My mother was furious. Son, what are you still hesitating for? Your wife has cuckolded. Did you check how many green hats you have on your head? My brother threw away his cigarette butt and slapped my sister-in-law hard across the face. Tang Hongsheng, are you still a man? How dare you hit me? I heard everything clearly from the door and saw my brother and mother beating my sister-in-law violently. My sister-in-law curled up under the quilt and then slipped off the bed. The security guards came again and stopped them. Someone called the police, and our whole family was taken away. After I told them everything I knew, I left. I went home, packed my school bag, and went to school. I still had one more week of school before the exam. I was determined to get into university smoothly. In my previous life, I never had the chance to take the college entrance examination. In this life, I would make up for it all. A week later, when I got home, my sister-in-law was cooking in the kitchen. My mother pulled me over and pointed at the bird's nest on the table. Hurry up and drink it. Your sister-in-law just steamed it for us. I examined the consistency of the bird's nest. Evidently, raw water had been added. My sister-in-law was trying to deceive us. I took my mother's arm and said, Mom, you drink it. I just can't bear to. Such a precious thing should, of course, be enjoyed by you, Mom, who has worked so hard. Without hesitation, my mother picked it up and drank. I went back to my room to tidy up my books and heard my brother come back. My brother shouted, Isn't the meal ready yet? So slow. My sister-in-law hurriedly poked her head out of the kitchen and said, Okay, it'll be ready soon. Don't worry. I couldn't help but wonder why my mother and brother had forgiven my sister-in-law despite knowing it was her fault, while in my previous life, I had clearly lost my life. Why? What on earth was the reason? I went out to get a rope to tie up my books. Passing by my brother's bedroom, I saw my mother urging my brother to drink the bird's nest. This is a good thing. Drink it quickly. I saved it especially for you. My brother refused. This kind of thing is for women. I won't drink it. Give it to Yuan. My mother slapped my brother. What are you saying? Does your sister deserve this bowl of bird's nest? Of course not. In our family, only you and I, mother and son, are worthy of drinking bird's nest. Your wife doesn't work and doesn't earn money. Your sister is about to go to college, which will cost a fortune. I only have my retirement pension. It's all thanks to your hard work, my dear son. After hearing this, my brother let out a contented laugh. Ha ha ha, Mom. What you said really makes me feel good. However, I'll be blunt. If Yuan doesn't do well in the college entrance examination, I won't pay for her education. My mother lowered her voice. Don't worry. If she does well, it won't cost much. If she doesn't, send her to work and find her a husband to marry off. Your sister isn't ugly if she finds a rich man, and the bride price is high enough. We'll use the bride price to buy you a storefront. How about that? My brother immediately agreed. Okay. I took the rope back to my room and bundled up all the textbooks I had kept since childhood. I planned to sell them also. My mother and brother didn't beat my sister-in-law to death because my brother still had feelings for her, and my mother loved my brother, so she extended that love to my sister-in-law. In the end, they didn't go too far for me. My existence was dispensable to them. They didn't care about me. My mother didn't love me, and my brother didn't either. My sister-in-law cooked the meals and brought them to the table one by one. 6 dishes in total. She deliberately asked me to take them. Yuan, come and take this. Knowing she was trying to cause trouble, I stood up and ran to the sink in the bathroom to wash my hands. She left satisfied, and then sent me a message on WeChat, telling me to rest well, not to set an alarm, and that I could sleep in a bit. She would call me when the meal was ready. She also asked me what I wanted for breakfast, if I wanted fried dough sticks or something. She would buy them. I agreed to everything. But perhaps she was extremely excited. She came again soon, seeing the empty glass and glancing at the trash can. She asked for confirmation. You drank all the milk? Yes, it was delicious. Okay, go to bed early. The next day, my alarm rang on time at 6:30. The house was quiet. My sister-in-law had clearly done it on purpose. I wasn't stupid enough to wait for her to wake me up. I quickly washed up and went downstairs. As a result, I found that the car at home wasn't in the parking space either. I bought breakfast and went to the examination site. When the morning session was over, I actually saw my sister-in-law at the school gate. She came to pick me up as soon as she saw me. She came over. Yuan, I'm so sorry, my stomach suddenly hurt last night, so I asked your brother to take me to the hospital for emergency treatment. I forgot to wake you up. Were you late for the exam? There was no concern in her eyes. It was clearly schadenfreude. I pretended to hold my stomach. I was late. They didn't let me enter the exam for the first session. My stomach still hurts. I'm afraid I'll do poorly in this exam. Sigh. My sister-in-law couldn't suppress the corners of her mouth and could only cover her mouth and snicker. Her tone was light. It's okay, study hard and take the exam next year. Come on, I'll take you to eat something delicious. She really took me to a nearby restaurant. I wasn't polite and ate 2 durian pizzas. When she went to pay and heard it was over 200 yuan, her face turned dark. She doesn't earn money now and has to beg my brother for money. Sister-in-law, actually, I can still eat. How about having some more? She immediately paid the bill and left. After the exam in the evening, when I got home, she used the same old trick and brought me milk. I heard my brother come out and rummage through the fridge for something to drink. I handed it to him. Sister-in-law gave it to me. I drank too much water just now. I can't drink the milk. My brother took it. You don't know how to enjoy good things, drinking plain water instead. The next day, after I finished the exam and got home, I saw my sister-in-law crying and whining at home. That wasn't meant for you. Why did you drink it? Who told you to drink it? My brother was so angry that he slapped her. You put medicine in it and you still have the nerve to complain. Damn it, if it weren't for you, would I have made such a fool of myself at the meeting today? I was giving a work report, and the stench was so bad that the leaders in the first row were almost in tears. Just thinking about it makes me want to die. I didn't get a single cent raise. It's all your fault. Slap. My sister-in-law tried to argue, but my brother said sternly, even if you wanted to play tricks on Yuan, you shouldn't have. I was taken aback. I actually felt a bit flattered. It's such an important day as the college entrance examination. Can't you choose another time to play tricks on her? That's right. My sister-in-law didn't want to find a job until I found a summer job. Then she started looking for one. Because she was earning money, she became more confident. My sister-in-law deliberately came to show off to me after getting her salary. I saw the incoming transfer information on her bank card. The transferor was a media company. I searched and found out that it was for a female anchor. I searched for my sister-in-law's live streaming app online, but couldn't find it. I specifically checked the company and got the phone number and called. I said I wanted to apply for the job. The other side asked about my age, height, bust, waist, hip measurements, and photos. I sent a retouched photo, and the other side sent me a link. I clicked on it to download an app, and then I found my sister-in-law's real live streaming app. There were all beautiful women, winking and blowing kisses. These were basic moves. There were also paid viewing options. My sister-in-law's live stream was at the top of the popularity list. She had the most paid users. No wonder. I reported her immediately. When my sister-in-law was taken away by the police, she cried pitifully. My mother chased after her and cursed, "Bitch, so you were selling your body? Just die in there. Never come out again." My sister-in-law had her illegal income confiscated and was sentenced to 1 year and 2 months in prison. My brother divorced her when I was studying out of town. I suddenly received a call. They said something had happened at home and asked me to be prepared. I have a strong ability to withstand stress. Your brother's ex-wife took revenge on your mother and brother after she was released. They're no longer with us. Please accept our condolences. I actually laughed out loud. I took a leave of absence Went home to handle the affairs, scattered the ashes and sold the house. I'll never go back again. I'll take charge of my own life. I took my time washing my hands with hand soap. I didn't go back until she had brought all the dishes. She glared at me coldly. You're not a child anymore. You should learn to cook. Otherwise, how will you get married in the future? I smiled at her and then leaned towards my mother and said, Mom, I'm going to marry a rich man in the future, right? Who will cook then? We'll hire a nanny to cook, right? My sister-in-law sneered. You? Marry a rich man? Stop kidding. My mother slammed her chopsticks down. What nonsense are you talking? Why can't my daughter marry a rich man? My daughter doesn't go to bars and get close to men. My sister-in-law immediately shut up. The bruise on her face hadn't healed yet, and it was a dark patch with her head lowered. She looked somewhat pitiful. Only I knew it was an act. My mother opened her mouth and started scolding. Stop. Since you married into the Tang family, you haven't treated it as your own home. You take all the food, drink, and other things to your mother's house. You buy things for your mother. Have you ever bought anything for me? I bought you bird's nest to drink, and you said it wasn't authentic. I don't think your mouth can tell good from bad. When my sister-in-law heard this, she quickly retorted, Mom, I never said your bird's nest wasn't authentic. I really didn't. Sensing something, she glared at me. It was you and you spread false rumors, didn't you? Just as I was about to explain, my mother took over. Okay, don't blame you and I bought you bird's nest even if you said it wasn't authentic. That's one thing. But you posted on Moments that Yuan snatched the leftover from you. I sent that slapping me in the face, saying I can't raise my children well. When I went on a trip, you posted on Moments to mock me. What? Am I supposed to be your nanny at home and not allowed to go out and have fun? Linhan, I'm telling you today, since you've had a miscarriage, you should go out and find a job quickly. Don't rely on my son anymore. My sister-in-law finally looked up, looking pitiful. Mom, I haven't worked for so long. You don't know what I can do. If you don't know, then get pregnant quickly. Mom, you're making things difficult for me. It's only been a week. You can't even have sex yet. Then find a job. My sister-in-law looked at my brother. My brother finished his meal, wiped his mouth, and stood up to play games. My mother also finished her meal and left. My sister-in-law called me. You wash the dishes. Mom, I have the college entrance examination tomorrow. I want to review. But my sister-in-law quickly changed her words. Go and study. When I entered my room, her venomous gaze finally disappeared. In the evening, while I was doing the college entrance examination papers, my sister-in-law suddenly came to bring me fruits and apologized, saying she was wrong before and asking me to forgive her. I nodded perfunctorily, not even looking at her, my eyes fixed on the paper. She left happily, and then brought a glass of milk. I warmed the milk for you. Good luck on your exam tomorrow. After a while, she came again. You don't need to set an alarm. I'll wake you up tomorrow. I'll get up at 6:30 to make you breakfast. You get up at 7, have breakfast, and then ask your brother to take you to the exam. Okay, got it.